The movie starts with a guy who questioned a common sticker about Save the Earth. He questioned what it was for. It could be just for themselves. He added even God couldn't help people, since God gives people many things and it depends on the people. After that, there was a 6 days ago scene about the guy who was just awake. He was in New East Serbia, where there were still many guns there. The news was all about the new country Kazakhstan and how there was still terrorism there. Then the guy went outside and came to a tent. After that, he dragged someone there. It turns out the guy bought a gun from him, but it was broken from the beginning, and the guy asked to give the money back. Then the guy bought something and went to a building. Suddenly he bumped into a child and took something from the child. Then he was heading to his room, and it turns out the one he bought was like a dog, and he cooked it. It was revealed that the guy's name is Turop. After that, Turop ate it, but in the midst of it, there was a small bomb that damaged his room, and there was a gang of people, and they came to Turop. Turop quickly noticed that there was Carl. Turop thought that Carl was still in Sudan and killing the baby. Turop then mocked Carl and asked who asked him to do this. At first, Carl wasn't honest, but in the end, he revealed that it was Gorski's order. Not so long after that, Turop killed him, and Turop explained to the rest that it was just his personal problem between himself and Carl. Then the gang took Turop somewhere. Before that, Turop took his cooking and gave it to the child he met earlier. After that, he was taken to Gorski. Gorski said it was so difficult to find him, while he said he didn't hide. It turns out they happened to cooperate 10 years ago, but it seems Turop was so disappointed and mad with Gorski. Turop even said if talking about professionalism, then he should have killed Gorski. But Gorski said even if he did that, it wouldn't change anything, the world wouldn't be a better place with that, and it wouldn't change the fact Turop survived in Serbia, in a very dirty and messy place, and had no family. Then Gorski asked him to smuggle a girl to the US. Hearing that, Turop said Gorski just made fun of him since he couldn't go to the US, and the UN passport was so hard to be faked. But Gorski said that Turop didn't have a place to stay anyway. So Turop was picked up by a plane where there was a chain connected with a car. He entered the car and the plane took him to the girl. After that, he just arrived and the plane left him. He met a nun named Sister Rebecca. She told him about 3 rules, which were that the nun had to always be on the girl's side wherever she went. The less she communicated with the world out there, the better, and no silly word. Hearing that, Turop said he only got 1 rule, which was she had to follow him, otherwise he would leave her somewhere and no money to go back to her current residence. Then the girl came, asked Turop's name, and even said that he was a killer. It made Turop say that he is just a courier, and he thinks the girl is a package, not a friend or anyone. It means after 6 days, they wouldn't meet anymore. He added that Sister Rebecca was right. He shouldn't talk to her in the first place. Then they came into the car and started their journey. They were heading to Kazakhstan and close to Russia's border. They were about to catch a train. It turns out the girl's name is Aurora. On the way, Aurora saw many things that she usually didn't see in the monastery, especially a lot of people. Furthermore, terrorism thing was still happening in Kazakhstan. What she saw in market near the train station, she seemed to be shocked, because there were too many people and even there was a dead dog seller. She also saw there were tigers and she was so shocked to see them. Meanwhile, they were spied on by a group of people. They noticed Turop along with Aurora and Sister Rebecca, when Turop asked Aurora to change clothes. Then she happened to be separated from Sister Rebecca and Turop. Suddenly Aurora ran away and she was chased by Sister Rebecca and Turop. She said that she had to run away or she would be dead. In the midst of it, a bomb exploded. It is like Aurora got a feeling that the incident would happen. After that, they quickly catch the train. On the train, Aurora talked about the tigers. She asked whether the tigers were the real ones since the Siberian tigers were already gone. Turop answered that they used technology to imitate the Siberian tigers. But Aurora said a human maid was a god maid after all. Then Turop asked what really happened in the market earlier. He asked that in order he could save her. But quickly Sister Rebecca said that Aurora just didn't get used to seeing the market. Then they arrived in a refugee place in Russia. Turop asked them not to be separated while he went to his friend. It turns out Turop asked for his friend's help to smuggle. In that place, Aurora saw a boxer and asked Sister Rebecca about him. Sister Rebecca said that he was just a lost man. After Turop was done, they were about to get out of the place, but the people who spied on them came. They said that Turop didn't know what he was doing while Turop thought he was just doing his job. Then one of them offered him $1 million in the exchange of Aurora. But in the end, he threw the money so that the people around there took the money, while Turop, Aurora, and Sister Rebecca ran away. The gang was still chasing them, and in the end Aurora was taken by the boxer earlier, and he took her to the ring. In the ring, he touched Aurora. Not so long after that, Torup came, but it turns out the crowd thought there would be a fight, so that Torup had to fight the boxer, while Aurora was still in the ring too. They had a tough fight, but in the end Torup won. When the boxer was dying, Aurora came to them to stop Torup, since the boxer just wanted to save her. In the end the boxer died and Aurora was so sad and disappointed. After that the gang came and told Aurora that her father ordered them to take her, and long story short, Aurora obeyed them and they quickly left. It made Torup and Sister Rebecca chase them. Then Torup shot near the gang and even killed one of them. He said if they didn't give Aurora back, he would kill them one by one. Because she didn't want people to die because of her, Aurora finally came back to Torup. After that, they continued the journey. They'd, along with Torup's friend earlier, followed the refugee who was about to get into submarine. But it turns out it was winter and the seawater was frozen, so the submarine came from the frozen seawater and broke it. Furthermore, they had to fight with the refugees, so many people fell when they were about to get into the submarine. Aurora was shocked to see that. Furthermore, she saw a guy who pointed a gun to. When they were already in the submarine, Aurora couldn't accept the fact that many refugees fell in very cold seawater and didn't manage to get into the submarine. Even she quickly controlled the submarine's machine and threatened that if they didn't obey her request, she would kill them. It was seen that she could feel the people outside who were dying, and then she fainted. After that, Sister Rebecca revealed her past to Torup. She said that she got a bad past and then fate made her a nun and she worked in an orphanage. Then she met Aurora there. Her father died and no one knows her mother. At the age of 2, Aurora could speak 19 languages. But everything worked well until the doctor checked on her, and the doctor realized that something was wrong with her. But the doctor told Sister Rebecca not to tell it to anyone for her safety. Aurora often does many things that she didn't know before out of the blue, but to use the gun like earlier, it was the first time. So Aurora was taken to the US in order to get the best medic there. After that, Torup's friend told Torup that like 2 years ago, there was a virus bomb and everyone died because of it. And the behavior of the victim who got the virus was like Aurora. Hearing that, Torup said if Aurora really got the virus, Torup himself would kill and burn her. Then they arrived at Alaska. They continued the journey by riding a snowbike, but not so long after that, some planes noticed them and attacked them. Torup then asked Aurora to move to Torup's friend's bike, along with Sister Rebecca, while Torup will distract the planes. At first, Torup managed to distract it, but the second time, the plane targeted right at Torup. Even the bike he was riding burned. Torup was dying and Aurora quickly helped Torup. But not so long after that, Torup's friend said their passports were his at the moment while he was pointing a gun at them. Even he said that he didn't need Sister Rebecca and was about to kill her. Luckily, Torup was awake exactly at the right time, and he killed his friend first. After that, they made a snow house. Torup was cured by Aurora, while Sister Rebecca tasted Torup's cooking and complimented it. Torup said thanks for saving his life to Aurora, and from that moment, Aurora said that they had to act like a family who protects each other. Then, Aurora also said that they would be dead in New York, and after that she went to sleep. Sister Rebecca then told Torup that maybe Aurora was just scared. Then there was a scene when Torup threw his bullets, and not so long after that Aurora came and Torup explained that he would be checked by the refugee staff soon, so that he had to throw the bullets. Then Aurora had a chit-chat with Torup, and it turns out Torup wanted to stay in Canada where his parents' farm was. He would manage it even though the farm condition was bad at the moment. After that, Aurora asked Torup if he wanted to kill and burn her, as she heard in another scene. But Torup said that he hoped it wouldn't happen. Then they were already in Canada and Sister Rebecca informed Torup and Aurora that they had to catch the bus in 30 minutes. Before, Torup injected a liquid that Grosky gave to him in the early scene. Then an old lady was informed that Aurora, Sister Rebecca, and Torup were in Canada and heading to New York. In New York, they stayed in a fancy apartment. Aurora directly watched the news that it turns out the monastery she lives in was bombed. The news shocked them. Aurora noticed that it was not an accident since the monastery was bombed exactly right when they arrived in New York. When Sister Rebecca asked her to pray together, Aurora even said that she didn't do it anymore. Meanwhile, Torup got a call from Gorsky. Torup asked what really happened, but Gorsky told him that someone just rented him, and he was not a terrorist. Gorsky said that soon the doctor came and his final task was to make sure Aurora met the doctor safely. Gorski also threatened Turop by saying the liquid he injected earlier was how the missile knew Turop's location if he didn't do as requested. Then Sister Rebecca came to Turop. There was one gang of Nullity, the sect that Sister Rebecca joined, and one gang of Gorski's men. They came to make sure that everything would go well. Not so long after that, the doctor that happened to check Aurora 3 months ago came. He checked Aurora and didn't let Sister Rebecca get into the room. There, Aurora said that the doctor was an evil person. After that, the doctor said that he needed to do more checkups on Aurora. Then Turop happened to use violence when asking the doctor, but Sister Rebecca stopped him. After that, Turop told Sister Rebecca that he was afraid that something was wrong with Aurora. He even brought up a topic about the virus and how the virus could destroy a lot of people in New York. Sister Rebecca couldn't believe that Turop believed that kind of thing. Then Aurora came to them and said that she was pregnant with twins and they wanted the babies. Sister Rebecca couldn't believe it since she made sure no guys ever touched her, but in the end Aurora was indeed pregnant. Then Turop had to give Aurora to the doctor in his car. Sister Rebecca said they had to do something, but Turop said the condition wasn't on their side. But then Turop didn't give Aurora to the doctor, and he started to fight both the Noelavi sect and Gorski's men. They had a tough fight, but in the end Sister Rebecca was shot and died. Seeing that, Turop came to Sister Rebecca to help her. But he was shot too, even though he could still manage to shoot. Not so long after that, Turop was killed by Aurora. She said that she wanted the fully alive Turop. After that, Turop was awake. It turns out he was dead for a while, but Aurora's father, named Darkwindier, saved him, but he helped it with technology. So Darkwindier was fired as a doctor 20 years ago, because he tried to make an artificial human by putting it into a woman's body. But with that, he made Aurora successfully, and her mother was AI itself. The Nullity sect tried to contact him, so he made Aurora as a supercomputer where she could know so many things that were input in the supercomputer. The Nullity sect wanted to use Aurora for the sect's benefit. Then in the past, someone rented Gorski to kill Darkwindier and took Aurora, and it had been a long time since Darkwindier didn't know where Aurora was. Luckily, Darkwindier managed to be alive. Long story short, Turop asked Darkwindier what he wanted from him. Darkwindier told him to find Aurora, since he thought she killed Turop by purpose. On the other hand, an old woman in another scene was seen again. It turns out she was the leader of the Nullity sect. She got mad at her men because nobody told them to get Aurora back by gun. Then she asked them how to make sure their sect didn't lose the share, since Aurora was their trademark that they could use to get many shares. Some people suggested to make up a story that the Nullity sect was targeted by terrorists and to get closer to God by their outer space module, but she didn't accept it and she was still angry. Then a guy informed her that the dead body of Turop was kidnapped, and she quickly thought who could kidnap the dead people. After that, Darkwindier made Turop to remember all his memories in the past, even when he was in the war and when he was a child. Then Turop remembered the last thing Aurora said, which was to come home, and he tried to define what she meant by that. Turop also asked Darkwindier how Aurora could be saved from the missile. Darkwindier said it was because of her twins. Furthermore, Turop thought that Darkwindier tried to make Aurora like the Virgin Mary. Then one of Darkwindier's men informed him that the Nullity sect had found out about them. Darkwindier asked Turop to quickly go find Aurora. On the phone, the woman called Groski, and she scolded him too and said he got an ancient style to kill people. Groski asked for the payment, but she wouldn't pay him surely. Then the woman threatened him that she would kill him, and it seems he was dead not so long after that. After that, her men came and informed her that there were 2 cars lost, and she thought it was Turop. The woman quickly came to Darkwindier, and it turns out the woman said that Aurora was her daughter. But Darkwindier couldn't accept it since he just used her body. The woman added that he did that for her. Long story short, they argued, and even Darkwindier told her that she only used Aurora to make money, but saying it in the name of her sect in public. Then she shot him, and Darkwindier said it was okay to die for Aurora. Quickly, the woman asked her men to find Turop. Meanwhile, Turop got what Aurora meant by coming home. He went to his parents' farm in Canada, and he found Aurora there. 6 months after that, Aurora was in a hospital along with Turop. She said thanks to him and said Turop was the father of the child. After giving birth, Aurora died. Then the movie is finished.